guys ready? All right. Put your mic on. The Rex don't ever cut his mic on. Good afternoon. It's right at 5:30. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Our mayor is not able to be with us today. Thank you all for attending this meeting. We'll have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance after that, if we'll all stand for that. First, I'll offer an invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you today as humble as we know how. Thank you for all the blessings that you've already given us. We thank you for waking us up this morning to a brand new day. We thank you for bringing us to this hour in this day. Heavenly Father, go with us as we carry on the business of the city. We ask that these things and all things that we do will be pleasing in their sight. We ask these things in Jesus' name I do pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is adoption of a business agenda. You've received that. Do we have any conflicts with the items on the agenda? And if not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Special recognitions. We'll call on our police chief to present.
Good afternoon, Council. How are you? Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. All right, good deal. So we have been very busy at the police department the past couple of months, figuratively and literally. And so I'm very fortunate, very, very, very fortunate to be surrounded by such wonderful men and women. These public servants, they are the greatest individuals I've ever had a chance to work with. I think the world of them. I've learned to love them and just cannot say enough good about them. We are very fortunate in Roanoke Rapids to have these individuals that are committed to service and honesty and innovation, excellence, leadership, and dedication. That's our core values, by the way, if y'all have forgotten about what that is. So I am just tickled that we have been able to hire some new staff. We've been able to make some very much needed promotions. Promotions that we have made, most of our promotions have occurred. It's been a very competitive process. There was much to do about having them go through an assessment panel. Captain Williams and myself have really worked hard to make sure that we have made a professional process out of this and to make sure that when we selected the people to serve with us on our leadership team, that we selected the people that had our intentions for the city, had our intentions for the betterment of the people that lived here and work here at the heart. So I first want to recognize, if I can, the two members of our command staff, other than Captain Williams and myself, is Captain Jeff Baggett and Captain Harold Phillips. If you'll come up for me, gentlemen. I cannot say enough about these two gentlemen right here. They've got the biggest will and want to work for the people and want to do the right thing, and I am so very fortunate to have these two men by my side and beside Captain Williams. Jeffrey Baggett here is our captain of patrol. He has been with this agency his entire career. He is a homegrown person here from Roanoke Rapids, graduated high school here, went to the Army, came back from the Army, started at the police department, and he has worked his way through. And I first met Jeff many years ago during instructor training. I was his instructor, teaching him how to be an instructor. and I got to evaluate him, and I learned a lot about Jeffrey. And he is actually a wonderful addition to our team. I'm so glad to have him over captain of patrol. Harold Phillips, I've known Harold for over 5 years now. Harold worked at the sheriff's office, and before that, he worked at the Northampton County Sheriff's Office, has worked in other departments, but he's also a former Roanoke Rapids police officer. He started his career here in Roanoke Rapids. Harold is an incredible human being. I've worked many cases with him. He is an excellent investigator. He's an excellent dealing with staff. He is leading our investigations unit, both our CID unit, which is our criminal investigations unit, and our narcotics unit. And I'm so glad to have both these gentlemen on our command staff. So I'd like tonight to call up Matt Hunsucker and Morgan Worrell. Matt's not going to be here. I'm sorry, I forgot. He can't be here. That's all I'm going to say. So we don't want him here either. Okay. So so those of you who don't know Morgan. Morgan has been with our department for a few years. She was interim captain earlier this year. Phenomenal human being. Phenomenal. Love her to death and glad she's on our team. She is very intelligent. She brings such a breadth and depth to skill at our criminal investigations and our narcotics unit. Morgan has actually worked, on patrol. She's been a part of both the CID and narcotics. We're so glad to have her. She went through a promotional process and came out as our lieutenant of our investigative unit. She's working hand in hand with Captain Phillips, and we're just so glad to have her here. Matt Hunsucker, of course, he can't be here. Matt has also been with the department for quite a while. Matt was formerly in CID, and he got promoted to lieutenant over shift. Matt is running a patrol shift, and he is doing an excellent job. His staff really and truly enjoy working with Matt, and we're so glad to have him on our team. Sergeant Clarice Hagmore, Sergeant Sammy Langley. So you've probably seen these faces around. I tell you, they're fascinating people. Just real quick, we had a stabbing incident the other night, and it was brought to my attention that Sergeant Langley here took it upon himself to comfort a small child just like a good father would do with other children. That is a very comforting thing to know that you've got staff that are willing to take upon themselves to make sure that a child is not stressed out, a child feels a little bit of comfort. That means the world to me, that knowing that he's got that kind of heart, and that is just awesome to have him on our team. And I thank you for doing that. I know I haven't told you that privately, but I wanted to do it publicly. But he is an excellent addition to our team. He's a sergeant on one of our patrol units, and he is acting lieutenant when the lieutenant's not in charge. And Sammy is just a wonderful addition. Now, I think y'all have seen the one on the end there a couple of times. Very community-oriented individual. She loves the community, loves getting it. I don't hear anything but positive things about Sergeant Hagmore. They call you Little Bits, what I hear a lot, right? So I don't know where that name comes from. But anyway, so Sergeant Hagmore is very well respected in our ranks. She is, I met her a couple of times with some classes that were taught, and I got to know her and talking to her. She is an excellent addition to this team. She's really leading a good squad as a sergeant on that squad. And like I said, community driven. This officer is community driven, and that's what we need. People to care about our community and love our community. And thank you so much for that. Next, I'd like to have Master Officer Nicole Powell, Master Officer Kathleen Williams, and Master Officer Damian Newsom. Damian couldn't be with us tonight either. I don't think we want him here either. So, if I'm hearing right. Oh, excuse me, Norfleet. Sorry. It's typing. That's my fault because I wrote it. So anyway, I can't even read my own handwriting, right? So Damian Norfleet is not here with us. He's one of our master officers. He's unable to join us. But at the end there, Nicole Powell, Kathleen Williams. I really enjoyed getting to know these ladies. I actually know Kathleen because I hired her at the sheriff's office, sent her to BLET, and she left me. So glad to have her back, right? So glad to be back with her again. So wonderful to have her here. She's did really excellent. So did Nicole Powell on their promotional process to become master officer. They are our training officers. These two serving as master officer for the police department, they are our FTOs. They're the people that train our new officers to come in. I really enjoyed getting to know Nicole over the past couple of months. She was working some light duty, and she was in the office a lot, and I had these good conversations with her. these are very intelligent human beings that you're seeing before you, okay? Very book smart, very much common sense wise. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to talk to both of them. Damian Norfleet, I also hired Damian at the sheriff's office, and he also left me. So it's good to join back up with him again. He is a very good young man. He's really got a bright future ahead of him, and I really can't wait to see what transpires with him in the future. That'd be wonderful to see. Next, I'd like to have Investigator Brian Biggerstaff and Tyler Akery. So, Sheriff Davis gave me a hard time about hiring Brian because I'd already hired Harold. So, I guess thought I was trying to take everybody, but I might. But anyway, so Brian down here, nice to have Brian here. I've worked with Brian closely for the past 5 years, a great investigator. Brian is actually trained on doing the internet crimes against children. We have a couple of investigators that can do that, but Brian's got a specific knack with that. So that is the one that are doing the child predators and things like that. So it's wonderful to having somebody like Brian here. Brian's from Roanoke Rapids, and I don't know if you know the name Biggerstaff, but his father used to be a police officer here at Roanoke Rapids. So it's wonderful to have him on board. Tyler Akery here, we were able to convince him to come back to work. Tyler is working our narcotics unit. Tyler actually made a very big arrest on his second day working here. We had a subject that we had been looking that had cut off an ankle bracelet because he was out on a homicide charge. Yeah, there's such a thing. And Tyler actually saw the gentleman, ran him down, caught him, and arrested him. So Tyler did that, with the task force unit he's working on. But Tyler is the one that actually chased him down and got him. So these are two great additions to our team. Officer Jay Conrad and Officer Isaac Nielsen. So I'm going to start with Jay. Jay has been with our agency for almost 2 years. We decided to put him into our PACE position. Our PACE position is primarily for helping Captain Williams doing the community engagement stuff, and also making sure that we're very proactive with our crime control and this, that, and so he is going to primarily be handling. Once we get him off the shift and get him into the role he's supposed to be in, this PACE role, you're going to see him a lot. You're going to see that face a lot in the community that's going to be dealing with everyone. So I can't wait to see that. And Officer Isaac Nielsen. Isaac Nielsen actually came to us from Utah. He moved here, went to BLET, went through FTO. He did so well, we actually released him early. He is an exquisite officer, and he is also a veteran of the U.S. Marines. I've actually got him working on a project now with the American Legion to help us identify individuals that live in the city that might be suffering from PTSD that were in the military, and I'm looking forward to see that project that he comes through with that. So, if you give these promotions and these new hires a little round of applause.
Let's give them more.
Y'all can be seated. We have to stop for Lance here. We have to stop the whole meeting for Lance here. Could have been doing that while you were sitting there. I'm sorry. While he's doing that, can I continue on, please?
Continue on.
I'd like to call Captain Gordon Williams and Investigator Nicholas Bankert up, please. So, awarding these two fine officers with the Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate. This certification comes from thousands of hours of education and training and experience, and the combination of those. Both officers obtained their certification on August the 11th, 2023 from the North Carolina Criminal Justice Training and Standards Division. The culmination of obtaining these certificates means that they have really devoted themselves to their craft in law enforcement. So I'd like to present you with your award there. And also provide them with lapel pins for their uniforms to signify that they have their advanced certificate. He's already stole one from somewhere, I can tell. So I'm gonna give Nick, I'll give yours. You can't have both. We're very proud of these two officers for this accomplishment. This is not something that just comes, easily. You just don't just check the box off. This is something that requires work, years, and dedication. So I'd like y'all please to just give them a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's give them all another round of applause. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone that have signed up for unscheduled public comment? None. Okay, our next item on the agenda is approval of City Council meeting minutes, August the 15th and September the 5th. We can entertain both of those at the same time.
Mayor Pro Tem Furby, I'd like to make a motion to approve the August 15, 2023 regular City Council meeting and September 5th, 2023 joint meeting minutes as drafted.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion second. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes approved. Our next item on the agenda is public hearing. Call on our city manager, Trainum, to present. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Furby and City Council members. Glad you all can make it here tonight. The North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Economic Development Division has opened up a second round or a new round of funding for the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Neighborhood Revitalization Program. We currently have a grant that was awarded in 2020, and we have the opportunity through this opening here of the release of funding to be able to apply for additional funds. As part of that application process, there are 2 public hearings that are required prior to application submittal. This is the first public hearing, and with that, in general, the purpose of this hearing is to obtain any citizen views and receive any responses from the public on proposed funding. There's approximately $12 million available through the 2023 program. And unlike before, they've added additional funds that you can now apply for up to $950,000, where before it was $750,000. The CDBG neighborhood revitalization activities have to meet at least one national objective of benefiting low and moderate income persons. And so the activities, if it's in a community, if it's a neighborhood benefit, it has to be at least 51% low and moderate income. And for any direct benefits like homeowners, they have to be lower moderate income persons to be able to apply with the homeowner program. The types of activities that we typically see with this would be home renovations, or they call it rehabilitation, or if it's a substantial improvement, it would have to undergo certain approvals with the state prior to being able to be funded. The grant program does not require a match by the city, and the activities also can be applied towards public facilities, such as under our current program from 2020. The restroom facility at Challoner was purchased with those grant funds. So that's an example. Under this program, we're putting out applications, and I've brought some with me tonight, and we'll have them available online and upon request. But to qualify for the homeowner program for improvements, if it's a household size of one person, the maximum annual income is $38,750, and that increases some with the income limits increase with the larger household size. And so anyone residing in the household that's at least 18 years of age and older, their incomes, if they have a job, have to be listed on there as well if that's their full-time home. The intent is to identify the structural deficiencies or any water and sewer needs, and what would not apply would be cosmetic improvements. what we're requesting is that any homeowners that are interested in the program submit an application no later than the 15th of October. So we've got just about a month for that, and anyone who had applied in the past, in the last couple years, will be getting a new application as well. So if anyone missed out on funding, they will receive a direct application mailed to them. So for the public hearing tonight, just ask that you open a public hearing, receive any comments that may be made from the public, and then followed up with a motion to close the public hearing concerning the possible grant application. A second public hearing will be required once we receive homeowner applications and determine the projects. And so, and it's required prior to submittal of the application, which is due, I believe, November the 15th. So, subject to any questions that you may have, just ask that you open the public hearing and receive any comments, and then a motion to close the hearing.
Any questions for Kelly before I open the public hearing? I do have one quick question, and do you have before you what the maximum income would be, even with the family?
Yeah, and these income limits they're set through the state and the federal government through the program, and it's based on it has to be at least 80% of the median income of the county. So compared to other areas, I guess it's the lowest of the lower incomes, but for a family so if it's a family of 8, or a household size of 8 people, the maximum annual income limit would be $73,100. For 7 people, $68,650. 6 people, $64,250. 5 people, $59,800. 4 people, $55,350. 3 people, $49,850. 2 people, $44,300. And then again, for 1 person would be $38,750. And to qualify for the program, we do have to have proof of income provided in order to qualify for assistance, and that's the documentation that we have to provide to the state in order to get the funding. And so that it would either be through a copy of your most recent tax return, or if it's a government benefits documentation like Social Security or SSI, and so forth.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I will open the public hearing to receive public comment, if any. Hearing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
And motion second, any further discussions? All in favor, aye. Do we have a motion to grant the application to the 2023 funding under Title I of the Housing Community Development Act? Do we have a motion for that?
She said we didn't have to do that.
Oh, we don't?
Yeah, we'll have another, yeah.
Yeah, so they don't need to vote on anything.
Okay.
We can just-
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
So
they just need a motion to
we had a
close the
motion and a
hearing.
second to
Which I
close, I
think they just
believe.
did.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's closed. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that clarification. The next item is a consideration of ordinance declaring a temporary road closure for the Christmas parade. Chief?
So ordinance 2023, this is an ordinance declaring temporary road closure for Christmas parade. As you all know, we have to close Roanoke Avenue, which is a state-maintained highway, for the Christmas parade. So this is the purpose of the application. Is we have to get the approval from council to have this done. So whereas the city council and the city of Roanoke Rapids acknowledges a long tradition of providing an annual Christmas parade for the pleasure of its citizens, and whereas the city council and the city of Roanoke Rapids acknowledges its citizens realize the financial benefit from holding an annual Christmas parade, and Whereas the City Council in the City of Roanoke Rapids acknowledges a parade requires approximately 2 hours to install signing and traffic control, and also requires approximately 2 hours for removing signs, traffic control, and litter. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Roanoke Rapids pursuant to the authority granted by General Statute 20-169 that they do hereby declare a temporary road closure during the days and times set forth below on the following described portion of State Highway System route. The date is Sunday, December the 3rd. The times are from 1:30 p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. The route description is Roanoke Avenue, which is NC 48, between 14th Street and 1st Street. This ordinance will become effective when signs are erected giving notice to the limits and times of the parade and implementation of adequate traffic control to guide through vehicles around the parade route. Adopted this 19th day of September 2023.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem Verby Outlaw, make a motion to adopt ordinance 2023.12 declaring a temporary road closure for the Christmas parade on December the 3rd, 2023.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion adopted. Our next item is a consideration of resolution authorizing application for funding from the NC Division of Water Infrastructure. Kelly?
Yes, the state, feedback there. As the state budget is in its final, I guess, terms of being passed or under consideration for passing, the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Division of Water Infrastructure has opened up grant applications in several different categories, and our project engineer with Matt Gay Associates that we've been working with on the Southgate project has provided some guidance to us and some activities that we could accomplish with that funding. So the primary purpose of Resolution 2023.14 is to authorize the city to apply for it, and as part of that, you have to authorize the authorized representative. So absent of a city manager, it would be a mayor, but since we have city manager here, the council is requested to pass a resolution to authorize me to submit the application on behalf of the city. What we intend to apply for are two different projects. One is the replacement of the bridge along Dixie Street that serves Challoner Recreation Park. That bridge is inspected almost annually. I think maybe, I don't know if Larry's here, but he could answer more questions about that. But at this point, like the way the current bridge is over Chalkyot Creek there, you cannot, like, emergency vehicles and so forth are unable to pass it. And so what we'd like to do is apply for funding, which would be about $611,000 to create a bridge or to construct a bridge that would be able to handle a fire truck or ambulance and so forth, which is very much needed there. The other project would be for the completion of a stormwater inventory and assessment study. Some efforts through grant fundings. We've gotten some small progress over the last few years with clean water funds, but we would like to move forward and complete that at an estimate of $150,000. And like I said, all of this is pending state appropriations, which we expect to be funded. The applications are due to the state by 5 o'clock p.m. on October the 2nd. And so as part of that, one of the main requirements is adoption of a resolution. And so resolution number 2023.14 has been modified from the state template to meet the city's needs, and just ask for adoption by appropriate motion and vote.
Okay. Any questions?
Got one. Is this going to be a grant or an interest loan?
It's my understanding that it is grant funding, and there could be some performance stipulations, but it is intended to be a grant.
Any
And I
other
will add too that this application does not obligate the city to the projects if we are funded, which I hope we are funded. We will find out hopefully maybe sometime in early 2024. But any of the grant terms and things like that, if it looks like it's not a straightforward grant, then we would bring it back to City Council for consideration prior to acceptance.
Hopefully it is. It's a well-needed bridge over there. Well, one passing one way and kind of a horse and cart type bridge. But anyway, hopefully it's grant funded. Any other questions for the city manager? Do we have a motion?
Mayor Pro Tem Furby, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2023.14, authorizing the city manager to submit an application for funding to the North Carolina Division of Water Infrastructure.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a consideration of ordinance for cost sharing of a preliminary engineering report. Kelly?
Okay. The city of Roanoke Rapids has been, really since 2019, has been involved in what I would call more like corridor study types of meetings with the county, sanitary district, and other potential partners involved in that have utilities in the jurisdiction. But this is all related to the North Carolina Department of Transportation extension of Premier Boulevard and American Legion Road and the widening of Highway 125. In this area, the city has modified or completed rezonings to make the zoning commercial classification. But one part of that's kind of like the first step in the development process. Second step would be, some site planning. Utilities are not directly available in the area. There's area utilities, but as far as for water and sewer, but primarily the area right now is served by septic systems and for lack of a better term, a dead-end water line on Highway 125. A preliminary engineering report is necessary for the sanitary district to determine the size and capacity of water and sewer lines to serving potential development that's there. And the PER, which is the preliminary engineering report, would be used to apply for the county to apply for funding for that water and sewer infrastructure to serve the sites that are along the new expanded roadways. Some of this area all of this area is within our planning and zoning jurisdiction. Some of it is within city limits or just on the edge of it. To give you an idea of the geographic area, I included the copy of the transportation map that was provided early on in the DOT process, but it is primarily the area of the new roadway system that opened up for traffic over a year ago. So the total estimated cost of the PER is $36,000, which has been contracted with the sanitary district. And during a meeting on August 31st that the mayor attended, entities talked about sharing the cost of that. So the city's 1/3 cost would be about $12,000 for that to contribute to the report. Some of the things that this would do is increase like the fire flow in the area and water quality, as well as allow for economic development to occur within this new area that's accessible by a roadway now. So
Okay.
a budget amendment would be necessary for the city to share in the cost because we do not have the $12,000 in the current budget. So $12,000 would come from the undesignated fund balance to be put into our general operating fund in order to share that cost with the sanitary district and the county. So subject to any questions you may have, just ask for consideration of ordinance 2023.13.
Any questions for Kelly?
I have a question for you. Is the $12,000 in the budget to spend?
It's not in our current budget, no, which is why a budget amendment would be necessary.
All right, and where are we gonna take the money from?
The undesignated fund balance.
What is the fund balance? What's the fund balance now minus the $2 million that we have?
13 million.
And that's minus the 2 million?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what's that percentage? What's our percentage? What's our percentage
The percentage of the operating budget?
of operate, yeah.
13 million is probably about 28%.
I mean, as of,
We, at one point, we were,
Well, that usually comes in with our audit report, like as far as that, I don't know, our audit is still in the final stages of completion to see how we closed out the last fiscal year, but currently,
Yeah.
right now, anyway, we'd have to take a look at things and balance it out to see what that fraction or the figure that percentage would be.
yeah, the audit's not complete yet.
I would think we would still have some type of
What do you-
thought process
I
of what the
don't- I don't-
percentage of, for an example, we have to do the 8%
Right.
deal.
Mhm.
And I know we're not anywhere near there, so if we're not at 8, what are we?
Okay.
15, 20, 30?
I mean, I can get that back to you.
It was just a general
Okay.
question. I didn't know if we had that. Okay.
And I think
You
that
followed my
8%
question.
had been increased. Had they recommended that it be increased substantially?
I know we
The
were over
fund
25
balance,
at one
like,
time.
minimum,
Mm-hmm.
what that percentage is?
Well, the state requires 8%, and we
Right.
are well above that.
Right. And I was just wondering what that was.
think-
Where are we with
I
that?
think 11%, I think. But I would have to go verify that.
Hold on.
Yeah, I
would
think-
hope more than that.
And, it
It's
was in the
it's in the
20s
20s,
the
I
last
think.
time we looked at it, but
Okay.
At least
it's
in the
not a
20s.
figure that, that figure, it
Sure,
ebbs and
it
flows
fluctuates.
with the funds that we have available and relative to the budget.
Right.
But, I mean, we're talking about $12,000, and in the next item of business, our finance
I
director.
think council set a limit of 23% that fund balance had to be.
And
I think if you go back in the minutes and look, I think we set
yeah.
a minimum of what it had to be.
The city council does have an ideal
Right. Ideal
fund balance
amount.
percentage that,
And I know we were over that.
Prefer
I
to
just
have.
didn't know what,
Okay.
okay. If you could provide that a little later for us, we appreciate that. All right. Our next item, wait a minute, we gotta take.
Um,
Need a motion on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm ready for a motion if, council's ready for a motion.
and I'll say, if more information is needed prior to making a decision, we can table the item to the next meeting.
I think we're all right. You guys?
12,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we adopt the ordinance number 2023.13, amending the fiscal year 2023, 2024 budget.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Next item, I'm going to call on Finance Director Johnson to present consideration to declare closeout of completed capital project. I believe that's where we are. Yep.
Okay, there's some projects, Hodgestown, the local law enforcement block grant, the theater accounts at First Citizen and NC Cash Management, and the downtown revitalization project. All of these projects, the auditor has recommended that we, close due to their completed. There's no need for him to keep doing audits on these projects. Motion and vote to declare closeout of the following capital projects: Hodgetown Local Law Enforcement Theater, and Downtown Revitalization.
Okay. Can you explain some of this stuff to me?
Okay.
Okay, the, theater, First Citizens Bank, NC Cash Management, $52,000. What is that?
Okay, so the First Citizen, NC Cash Management, we had about 51,000 in an account with NC Cash Management, and then with First Citizens, we had like 1,500 somewhere along there in an account for the theater. When the city used to operate the theater, we had a bank account, a First Citizens
For
bank
operation
account.
of the theater?
Right,
Okay.
right.
That explained that, okay.
And I'll add that most of these capital projects that require an independent audit, separate from our regular audit, they've been on the books for at least 10 years, with the exception of the downtown revitalization one. And then the remaining balance of these funds will be returned back to the fund balance.
Right.
Is the 52,000 one that we just approved at $60,000 be used for maintenance?
No, that's separate.
That's separate?
Yeah, the 60,000 is a budgeted amount. This is actual cash, like.
And
It's in
they're
an,
going to return back to the fund balance.
Right.
Okay, my next question is, we didn't spend the $60,000 in the budget for the theater.
Right.
Okay, so why are we pulling money out of reserve to pay the
We're not pulling.
No, I'm talking about to pay for the $12,000 for the other project, since we already got 60,000 in reserve.
well, city council would still have to approve the amendment to the budget to pay for it, because we can't take those lines away from, we can't zero out this to apply it somewhere else without council's authorization, because it's a totally separate project.
It's kind of like an in and out thing. It would go in fund balance, come out of fund balance. This money, so we would put 57,000 back in fund balance, but we would take 12 out for the project. It's just an accounting type thing.
But we have a policy that says that if you're gonna spend money in the theater, I can't go spend it somewhere else that's not related to the theater, only up to a certain amount. Like if I exceed, I can't recall the threshold right off the top of my head, but there are certain limits that the council has to approve in order for us to change it.
Okay, so what you're telling me then, you're gonna put the $6,000 back in the general fund, back into reserve that we put in the budget.
Well, it's still in the budget right now, but these items for
I
action
understand
tonight
that.
are
That's the
separate.
question I asked. Are we gonna put it back in reserve and then pull it back out of reserve to pay the $12,000?
And, right, and just like the theater budget is a budgeted amount of, basically on our anticipated revenue. So that 60,000 we don't have sitting in the bank. But for right now, since we no longer own the theater, we don't have to actually fund those activities. But it will just basically help with our numbers in the end. I don't know if that's
At the end of the year, you'll have a $60,000 surplus because you've.
I'm sorry, I
budgeted-
can't hear you.
At the end of the year, you'll have a $60,000 surplus from that item. I would assume, since you budgeted that amount and then you haven't spent that amount.
Okay, but I know money that's in the budget can be, well, we can pull this out and put it over here. I
Yeah.
understand
Yes,
that.
Yes.
Well, with the budget amendment, we
amendment.
can do that. But we've already approved the ordinance already to do that. So it's maybe a little bit cleaner to do it the way we've proposed it.
So that you basically see what goes in and then
Yeah.
what comes
And
out.
that's A full
Without-
accounting of it, I would think, because this money is going back into unrestricted. This is restricted, right? So it's in the budget, but it can't be used but for
Right.
whatever it's designated for. So this is going back into unrestricted, where we can use it for anywhere, to include, if we wanted to, the 12,000 that Wayne is talking about.
Right.
So if we look at it, between the motion that's already been passed and this one, what I get out of it is that you're roughly adding $45,000 to the fund balance. You're adding 57, taking away 12, so your net is going to be 45.
And again, the action is needed for documentation of transferring funds between accounts.
I know that paperwork.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Johnson? Did you have any other items, Ms. Johnson? If not, I'd like a motion to declare the closeout of the capital items that were mentioned.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to close the capital project for Hodgestown Local Law Enforcement Block Grant, Theater for Citizens and Cash Management Account, and Downtown Revitalization Project.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we
Second.
we have a second? Any further discussions? All in favor say aye. Motion carried. All right, thank you so much, Ms. Johnson. Our next item is the city manager's report. Kelly?
All right. And I realize I've left my notes at the office here, but that's okay. I'm gonna go from memory, and if anyone needs to speak up, they're welcome to. Actually, the department management team has a team project. We have been discussing some improvements to the exterior of Kirkwood Adams, some landscaping, and some other things to give it a little renovation, since it's probably been, I don't even know how long, but the facility was constructed in the 70s. So with the lead of the Parks and Recreation Department, we've listed out some activities and worked with, had a meeting with representatives from Lowe's Home Improvement and the Lowe's Distribution Center for some, I guess, an in-kind service project from them. We will have a date determined shortly about when, like, kind of a working day would be, but many of the activities will, include anything from doing some touch-up painting, fixing up light poles, replacing benches that are outside, or adding benches, cutting down a few trees or removing some shrubs that are overgrown, and then replacing things back. And so that will start soon, and our intent is to have at least a good go at it. We won't accomplish everything that could be done out there, but before the holiday season gets started up with bookings for the facility itself. The staff we've got a pretty busy weekend coming up this week. This Friday night is the Hope for Hardy Twilight Festival that starts at about 5 p.m. on Friday the 22nd here, and the concert will conclude at 9:30 p.m. Most of the activities will start in the 900, 1000, 900, 800 blocks earlier in the evening, and there'll be a concert and music starting at Centennial Park. I think, is Tony here? Oh, maybe close. Was the band start about 7:30? So we do expect a lot of people to be attending. The last couple of years, it's been a successful event for the community, and they conduct the ball drop, where they drop ping pong balls with numbers on them for cash prizes to be distributed at the end. Following that, on Saturday, the police department is having a bike rodeo that will be at the Aquatic Center parking lot starting at about 11 a.m. and goes until 1 p.m. And then next week, on Wednesday, the 27th, the HCIA will be meeting. The City of Roanoke Rapids is the host, and the purpose of it will be for the opioid meeting. It is a meeting that's open to the public to discuss the use of opioid funds, and I think a flyer has been presented or placed it in front of you for it. Like I said, it is open to the public because of the amount of funding that was received from the opioid settlement, that the municipalities are expected to be engaged in the process of determining how those funds would be spent. Then that Friday, the 29th, would be the high school's homecoming, And we do expect them to have many activities associated with that, between the parade during the day that they have at the school, and then the football game, and then they intend to have their homecoming dance, and then a concert outside on the softball field that evening, and also fireworks after the football game. So we'll see that on Friday night, and on Saturday will be the Weldon Mills Bourbon and Spirits Festival that will be held out at the theater. So a lot of activity within the city limits the next couple weeks in a row. I hope that everyone has a safe time at all of them. And so our staff have to work really hard to, these events don't come without, I guess, a cost to the city, not in actual donations of money, but through staff time and effort. And we appreciate our staff's willingness to step up and participate to allow our community members to have a good time and be safe and make memories and have fun.
Let me ask you a question about the 27th meeting for HCIA. Are there going to be any other type, like our usual meeting setting, or is it going to be fully for the opioid crisis?
From what I understand from
Chris?
Christina Wells, that this is going to be the primary event that night, like in lieu of any other topics or updates. So like, I think from 6 to 7, I don't have the flyer in front of me, but is the public portion, and then we'll do the meal and the remainder of the items.
After that? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Any questions for Kelly? All right, thank you so much for your report. Finance Director's report.
So as of August, general fund year-to-date receipts totaled $2 million. General fund year-to-date expenditures was $3.2 million, and which expenditures exceeds revenues by $1.2 million. After the month of August, 17.1% of the budget year has been completed. This is a trend that continues just like July and August, with expenditures exceeding revenues. During the month of August, the city's funds typically fund the majority of the expenditures until receive ad valorem and sales and use and utility franchise tax, which we have. We received that, I think it was on September
That's what, about a week ago?
Yeah, it was like a week ago. We got approximately $5 million. So that was put directly into investment. So collections for August was current and prior year ad valorem, residential solid waste, commercial solid waste, interest revenue, and grants and donations. As of this meeting, the audit staff has completed their initial field work and testing of the city's data. The auditor hopes to have it completed by the end of September and submit it to the LGC by the 31st of October. And once this is complete, he will present this to the council.
Thank you for that report. Any questions for Ms. Johnson? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other business that have come before the council tonight? Here and there are none. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A motion and second. Any further discussions? All in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.